don't want war.
He wants it.
You don't know this guy here.
He wants it.
Fuck the Europeans. That's what she said. Victoria Nuland, Secretary of State at the time, or Assistant Secretary of State, she said, fuck the Europeans.
Yeah.
Nothing about the Ukraine.
Fuck the Europeans.
Yeah, fuck the Europeans.
It was about whether
I stand with America.
Why
are you here then? Because I'm American, that's why.
What are you doing here then?
What are you doing here? Where are you from?
I'm Ukrainian.
Where are you from? Well then, why are you here? Since there you go.
I'm working here.
But they didn't. It was about America or Europe. It was America.
You should be fighting for your country.
It was America
Shouldn't be here.
or Europe telling the Ukrainians what they must do. It was. You're a fool, my friend. If you imagine, you're the sort of idiot who imagines. You're the sort of idiot who imagines Ukraine.
Well, there's another idiot here as well. He thinks
utter and complete nonsense. The leader of Ukraine at the time had been elected and was pro-Russian.
No,
the
you're
majority
a fucking moron.
There
is no way that
government of Ukraine was pro-Russian.
Maybe it's what
the
you
leader of Ukraine was known as Yanukovych, and he was elected by the people of Ukraine.
On the table.
The Americans orchestrated a protest movement called the Maidan Square protest.
In the last moments that he was going to get signed, fucking Russia came in.
I'm engaging with you. Don't turn and argue with someone else. Okay, if you want to argue the case, I'll argue it. Okay, let him make his case first.
Okay, before the two...
Yes, I am a sad man because I have a YouTube channel in which I aim to educate people about the deterioration of society in the UK.
He's suspended.
Thanks to multiple Conservative and Labour governments who have done a terrible job at running this country.
Very original.
Russia came in and said,
and then there was a protest.
Then there was all of their deals.
No, he was already allied with Russia.
What do you mean aligned with Russia? The whole people revolted because of this.
We can agree. There was a dispute. We can differ about the interpretation. But the dispute that he's just spoken about. We can agree that dispute took place. I'm not disputing that. Let me finish. The dispute that you are talking about whether they align with Russia or align more with Europe, did take place. And there was a protest movement called the Maidan protest. I'm accepting what you said to the degree that it advances the discussion. Then I can't help that. I'm me, you're you. If you only want to hear what you say, look in front of a mirror and talk. Come on now. So then what happened was, these so-called Maidan protests took place, where people were complaining about Yanukovych. They complained about them not making a deal with the European Union. Many of them were the liberals. Many of them favoured an alliance with Europe rather than Russia. I'm not disputing that.
It'd be so much
but
better
then they were shot at. And they were shot at.
Burned down
it is claimed in the West that they were shot at by security forces of the government, backed by the Russians. But all the evidence shows that they were shot at by agents of the opposition.
Where's your evidence?
Agents of the West.
What's your evidence of that?
There is extensive evidence.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
There is extensive evidence.
Tell me about it. Tell me the evidence.
And in fact, an inquiry.
Ask Grok. Ask Grok.
The evidence of which was released by the Ukrainian judicial authorities only last year that confirmed that it was not carried out by the Russians and it was not carried out by the government.
Who was it carried out by?
It was carried out by forces undoubtedly aligned with America.
Forces undoubtedly aligned with America.
In exactly the same way.
What was their embodiment?
In exactly the same way. I will provide with the references next week. Right? I will provide you with the references next week.
What was the name of the inquiry? What inquiry is this?
It was a Ukraine.
The Leveson inquiry.
Only a year. Ukrainian last Ukrainian. I will bring the evidence.
Wikipedia. Ask Wikipedia.
Not only that. it was known right back in 2014. This was a coup d'etat orchestrated by America. Orchestrated by America.
Of course it was, the
And
CIA.
from that time onwards, America
Do you think the
was
people never
whipping
rise
up
up?
war against the
you
people
think
of the
people never rise
Donbass
up?
who are Russian speakers.
Do you want to go and live under Russia?
No, but
If you were
why can't we
Ukraine-
just
if
have a
you were
world
Ukrainian,
government?
would you want to go and
If we had a
train-
world
would you want to
government,
live under
there would be no
Ukraine,
war.
Mr. Speaker?
Evidently, in 2014.
Why can't we have a
and before,
world government? If we had a world
Ukraine had
government,
elected-
there would be
You
no
don't want a
war.
world government.
Have Russia, China, and America join a world government?
Zelensky was
No,
elected.
Vladimir! Don't do the
When
Ukrainian
Zelensky was
language.
Then we'll have peace.
Vladimir!
When Zelensky
That's his
he
Ukrainian name.
stated in advance of his election
I like a
that
bit
he
of
would
war,
try
yeah.
to make a deal.
No such language in Ukraine.
I like a bit of war, you know. The women love a warrior, you know.
That's all
Under
it is.
pressure
Fake.
from NATO.
Just like the
Because
nation.
just like all the front leaders.
Because you're Russian. You're Russian.
He
You
wanted
are
his
Russian.
hands
You're a
filled
threat.
with money, with American dollars, houses in Switzerland.
How much money? If you were a Ukrainian
That's
citizen,
how
if you
the
were a
Ukrainian
Ukrainian
government-
citizen, Mr.
Not only
Heiko,
that, but even now,
Mr. Speaker.
even these top ministers
Miss-
are being arrested.
yes,
for
Mr.
corruption.
Speaker,
Even these top
Mr.
ministers.
Speaker.
So what are you
Running to
talking
Mr.
about?
are you talking
Sir,
about?
as they used to say when I first started speaking at Speaker's Corner, as they used to say, why don't you bend over and speak up?
Why don't you bend over and take it from the CIA again? Okay, Mr.
2004. Exactly the same playbook that
Bend over.
2014 was used in Venezuela to not 2001 to overthrow the government of Venezuela. And that overthrow the government of Venezuela, the elected government of Venezuela, attacked by the Western world, not because they are dictatorial, or because they are evil, or because they kill their people, but because
What about the
Western
drugs?
government and the Hugo
What about the
was
drugs?
transferring resources that come
They're
out of the
flooding
ground
drugs into the
oil
southern border.
towards raising the living standards of the people of Venezuela.
They're flooding
Oil.
drugs into
Oil.
America.
What? Venezuela, don't you mean
When they
Colombia?
did that,
Venezuela, Colombia, Nicaragua, Panama.
America said, if this happens in Venezuela, what if it happens elsewhere in South America, in Bolivia, or in Brazil, or like it previously did in El Salvador, or Nicaragua, or Cuba? And that is why, the same reason is why they are attacking and preparing to attack Venezuela. I believe that despite a lot of opposition to the Venezuelan government, and despite Machado being given a Nobel Prize, supposedly for peace, when she advocates civil war in Venezuela, without any support, with very little support, the Venezuelan people will rally behind their government and will fight off the Americans.
They need to stop selling drugs.
If the Americans try and come in, despite a lot of internal crisis in Venezuela, the people will rise up with weapons and fight the Americans. Fight. If it's okay. You know, the British, Winston Churchill, he used to say, we'll fight them on the beaches. We'll fight them on the land. We'll fight them in the air. We'll fight them on the beaches. We'll fight them in the air. We'll fight them in the air.
Who are we fighting?
So ask yourself this: if that's true,
no, we're not going to fight
if that's
that.
true
The Russians.
for the British,
Russians, yeah.
if it's valid for the British
will
to
be,
fight for their
My
country,
musket.
and beyond that, even for their empire, why is it not valid for the Palestinian people to fight against the Israeli murderers and killers? Why is it not valid for the Afghan people to fight against the Americans? Why is it not valid for the Venezuelan people to fight
he's got
against the
a warrant
Americans?
out for his arrest
I
for
think
genocide,
Trump
don't
will
you?
back down.
Yeah.
Because he's not so foolish. He's not so foolish as to think.
Netanyahu,
He'll have
aka
feelers out. He's not so
Milakowski.
foolish as to think that if he sends ground troops in, they're going to win.
Bends over for anyone.
Even Cuba, that is in a situation of near internal disintegration from the news reports I've received from people who are in Cuba. Nevertheless, if the Americans try and invade Cuba, they will meet with armed resistance by the masses of Cuba. Just the same way
They got drones. It's a war of drones.
No points where you figured out.
It's been instigated by the CIA.
No
It's
points
going
where you
off at
figured
this
out.
moment. Just that Trump's actions are largely, I would say, nothing to do actually
When these people love
with the
Trump.
situation
No,
in Venezuela or
no.
elsewhere. But
I can remember this man
to
out
do
on Trump
with
supporting
supporting
People can
dollar.
change their minds.
Supporting
you
the
change
dollar
your mind,
through
the world
oil.
government.
I'm the next. I'm the president of the American Empire.
Is it?
Yeah.
Does that involve
Cannot
sexual
let the dollar
activity?
It involves a lot more sexual activity than Donald J. Trump gets.
Well, Trump
Just to let you know.
How do you get
Oil
involved?
is a lifeblood.
You gotta go to your local brothel.
Where's the nearest?
Just down the road over there. It's about £60 an hour. Good prices, very good prices.
America is after January 6, 1918. He swore to protect the Constitution from
They
enemies
don't
at home
require
and enemies at
Venezuela to
abroad.
do
And he
that.
was in on it.
Venezuela can be a weapon if they were to control
he was a trait from that
Venezuela.
moment.
It could be a weapon to influence world politics and world economics. But it is not actually decisive for the fate of the United States of America itself. Donald Trump wants to, first of all, maintain power. To maintain power, he must keep the masses satisfied. He has not been able to do that to date. He's done a lot of talk, a lot of verbosity against this country, against China.
He's deporting the
against
illegals.
Europeans, against different countries.
His real job
But
is to
in
destroy bricks.
and supposedly
He's the deporter in chief.
But
Just
his
the
real
bricks.
job, you are
About the
correct in
mortar.
this, not so much bricks, although that's an important
Don't forget the
appearance.
mortar.
It is to prepare the way for war against
You can get
China.
along.
Someone
The
will
real
No, we got it. It just wasn't funny.
No.
We got it. It
The
just
real
wasn't funny,
enemy
mate.
was the Soviet Union.
No.
Today, the enemy of America.
The fact that you have to say it 3 times.
is China.
No more
The
wars.
purpose of American politics internationally is to prepare the ground for war against China.
No more wars.
Bipartisan position.
Lots more
Whether Donald
wars.
Trump
Lots
or
more
Kamala Harris,
Donald J. Trump said no more wars.
or Ronald Reagan, or not Ronald Reagan, but George, any of the modern leaders of America are all advocates of a policy of destroying China. And by the way, this comes on to the question of the digital ID and COVID. One of the reasons the Western authorities claim that COVID came out of a lab, even though in my contention, they know very well that whatever is called COVID has existed long before COVID was declared. Long before they claimed to have a genetic sequence of it, it was already in circulation. And in fact, they admit it because they say there was an outbreak of SARS in 2001. They say, remember, they said in China, SARS has broken out.
China.
The Chinese have locked down parts of China. The Chinese have eradicated SARS, they claim. And yet, when I went to study this question, and if you go and study this question in the Chinese media, you will see SARS has been prevalent in China, at the very least, since 2001, continuously. It never disappeared in China, which means it never disappeared or appeared in the West. It was always here. It is. And now my youngest son was in China a couple of weeks ago. Quite an interesting little story. But this gentleman here sent me an email the other day from someone who was going to hospital.
More than your average Somalian family.
Someone was going to hospital for a test. You sent me the email last week. And the hospital said you could only come in for this test if you do a COVID test, a PCR test. My son was taken to hospital in China 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. And he was taken to hospital with symptoms of pneumonia. They did not do
Satisfy
any
the right
COVID tests.
demographic of viewers.
No COVID test. In the hospital, no COVID test. They do not believe that COVID can be identified by a PCR test.
Is that how
or
they
a
say
lateral
COVID in
flow
Wuhan?
test. In fact,
COVID.
China defined COVID as bilateral pneumonia, 2 lungs pneumonia with broken glass like capacity. That's how China defined COVID. That's how it defined COVID. And to be honest with you, that's a definition of a type of pneumonia. It's a type of pneumonia.
I used to call him ABT, but I used to call him, you know what I used
It's a
to call him?
type of pneumonia. That type of pneumonia, like all types of flu, like all types of pneumonia, like all types of cold, they mutate and change all the time. Every time someone becomes down ill with pneumonia, or comes down ill with a cold, or comes down ill with the flu, it is different. Every single person reacts to those agents or influences, whether you say external or internal. Everyone reacts differently because every human body is different. When they first did something in Britain,
Some people
called
have a
the Human
12-incher, some
Challenge
people have a
Trial.
6-incher,
in the year
others a
2020,
2-incher. You know,
they
we're all
said,
the same.
who's going to volunteer to do a study whereby we infect you deliberately with COVID and we see what happens? And so what they did at Imperial College was they got 36 healthy patients. They laid them down. They forced so-called COVID into their nasal passage and sealed up the nasal passage. And what they discovered was half of those people did not even have a detectable PCR presence for SARS-CoV-2.
Well, they should have shoved it up their backside then.
Into their nose directly. So, and of them, only one person came down mildly ill. Only one person. They might have come down mildly ill from psychosomatic reasons.
It's not a good